Hey, what's up? This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. In the month of February, I have major discounts on F-150s, little higher interest rate, but great prices. But if you're one of those people who really does not like to pay interest, I also have that program too, a 0% run for about a week and a half on F-150. Still some amazing incentive courtesy of myself and Oak Ridge Ford. Get at me at Norman Oak Ridge Ford on Instagram, oakridgeford.com. I'm just about everywhere. Anytime you want to talk about vehicles, we can do that. Right now, we're going to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, a win and a loss since coming back from the All-Star break. They've got Ottawa on the weekend. You know that's going to be a bit of a shit show. Then 3 more at home, Mike. 1 month from today is the NHL trade deadline 2024 styles. I think you believe, Mr. Augello, that it's going to be an anemic period for the Maple Leafs, considering they don't have a lot of resources. Time will tell. Right. As of now, what is your take on these Maple brothers? Are you feeling good, bad, or indifferent? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Norm. Well, not indifferent, but they're sort of convoluted. They're sort of a situation where, I mean, there are pieces there that I think are really good, but there's just too many flaws. There's just too many areas to address. And that's why, I mean, I know that, the insiders like Elliot Friedman and Pierre LeBrun and Darren Dreger, they're doing their job and they're smelling out, rumors involving the Leafs. And I know LeBrun today said, the next couple of weeks will determine what Brad Treliving will do. Meaning, right, if they get closer and they're starting to show that they are a contender, then maybe he'll, and I'm like, I could be wrong. I don't think that that's going to happen. Not that even if they win 7 in a row, I don't think that they don't have a ton of assets, and you can blame Kyle Dubas for that. If you want to do that, if you want to waste your breath, but he traded 3 second-round picks and deals for, the Giordano deal and another deal. I think the second-round pick was involved either in the McCabe deal or in the deal for O'Reilly. They traded a first-round pick in the O'Reilly deal. So they don't have a lot of draft picks. They have a couple pretty decent prospects in Easton Cowan in London, who's doing really well, and Fraser Minton, who played 4 games in the NHL. I mean, unless it's somebody who is under contract and holdable for multiple years, you're not trading your first-round pick, and you're not trading young prospects for stopgaps. I mean, I understand the interest in Chris Tanev because he's a really good right-shot defenseman. He's a shutdown guy.
But why do it now?
Right. You can get him on July 1 and you don't give up anything. And, what's the impetus to go get him now? Well, if you get him now, you get him for the playoffs. Right. So what? You're not winning the cup. So why? Why would you do it? So
it's crazy, Mike. It's crazy. We want to do now what we're criticizing management for doing then. Expending assets to bring players back. We believed at the time, or management believed at the time, might help further this team's cause. Here we are in a scenario similar to then without as many resources. The question is, are the Leafs today in better shape to eventually win the championship than they were in those years when management was willing to do what it took to augment the group? Clearly did not bear fruit. We just going to have to wrap our head around the now and, whether we believe the team is good enough and what are we going to do as a fan base and a group of podcasters and people who support the team and, belabor what's going on with the team to either emphasize more moves or de-emphasize the idea that this group right now is good enough to win a championship later this year.
Yeah, the issue in looking at it, say, are they better off now than they were in, say, 2018, the year that, or 2019 when they had Tavares? Okay, that's 5 years ago, and everybody is 5 years younger. So you have a 21-year-old Austin Matthews instead of a 26-year-old Austin Matthews, and down the line, you have 28-year-old John Tavares. Okay, but the team. You had Freddie Anderson as the goaltender. Now you have a trio. Freddie Anderson unfortunately played 66 games that year because Mike Babcock was an idiot. And like, you don't play your number one goaltender that many games because he's not going to have any gas in the playoffs, which is what happened with Freddie Anderson. So, there were different problems then. And, it was the issue now is, okay, now you've got three players who are just entering their prime, a fourth player in Tavares, who I think still is in his prime. The clock is ticking on him, and maybe, to a lesser extent to those other guys, and you've got to build a competitive team around them to be able to win. And right now, you see the depth problems with the injury of two players, with Kalle Järnkrok and now with David Kampf. Now, David Kampf is your fourth line center, and Järnkrok is your sort of jack of all trades. You can play left, right wing, second line, third line. You can go all over the place, and they're both out. Kampf may be back pretty soon. Now, okay, your third line is Nick Robertson, Max Domi, and Noah Gregor. You look at Dallas, and they have Jamie Benn and Joe Pavelski on their third line. Now the difference between, say, Dallas and Toronto is they have a bunch of young guys like Wyatt Johnston and Thomas Harley on their entry level contracts. The Leafs really don't have much other than Nyes and Robertson as entry level guys who are contributing. They have veteran guys who are taking lower amounts, but it's sort of a hodgepodge. Yeah. And that's the problem right now, is there's not enough there to support the core four. And we know the reason why is because you're paying the core four too much. Mm-hmm. So how do you rectify that? Well, the players who are ineffective right now that are making money, like some of the guys that Brad Treliving added in the summer on 1-year deals, like Bertuzzi, like Domi. I think Brody is still an effective defenseman, but he's making $5 million. Right. Samsonov making $3.5 million. All those guys might be gone. Most of them will be gone. Maybe one comes back. You have to spend that money effectively on players that can actually contribute to that group. And right now, there's not enough there. That's the problem.
February 8, 2024, Norm in London, Mike in Buffalo. It's an afternoon show, just throwing it into the mix. We missed the Sunday Spectacular because we were busy with other things. The Super Bowl is coming up this Sunday. My daughter has a big cheer competition in Kitchener. Mike has a knitting championship to go to in Albany. So we're all going to be super busy this coming Sunday. So it's going to be spectacular in other ways than the Leafs Convo. Perhaps Travis Kelce will propose to Taylor Swift at halftime. And that'll preempt the big Usher halftime show. So get ready for that. We don't want to get in the way. Snake Plissken is here. Great to see you guys. We have Jose DeMello, Jeremy W. And we will call you Snake, Mike. Yeah.
No, Snake Plissken is the name of Kurt Russell's character in John Carpenter, a great John Carpenter film that's just not Tango and Cash. But
Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah, no, I love Kurt Russell, but before he played Herb Brooks. But his name was Snake Plissken in the movie, and he kept telling everybody, "Call me Snake," and then at the end of the movie he says, "Call me Plissken."
You know what? You're teaching me about Kurt Russell. I'm so invested in this guy. There's so much I need to know more about Kurt Russell. But this guy is such a great actor. He's the same character as he is in Christmas Chronicles, as well as Bone Tomahawk. So I don't know if you've seen Bone Tomahawk, OG's Converse, but it's one of the most gruesome movies of all time. And then he plays the same guy in Christmas Chronicles, which has become a Christmas classic. Mike, we're in the now on the Maple Leafs. Yeah. We really are in the now. Spike 11 Escape from New York. Thanks for that, Mr. Spike. We are in the now on this team. What's to come? The thing is, who the hell knows? But in terms of the way this team plays and the ebbs and flows of its season, I do expect more of the same. Late leads, blowing them, winning in overtime, scraping and clawing to get back into games, getting a point out of it. So yeah, I'm not overly excited about what's to come, but I'm not really down on it either. It's a kind of if this team can catch lightning in a bottle, then it goes as deep as it possibly can. I wanted to bring up Ilya Samsonov, Mike, because before we went live, you suggested the team waive him. I like the fact that he's come out of his crazy headspace, and I say that with due respect.
Right.
But he was mentally down on himself. The guy was sent down. I mean, it almost looked like it was a recipe for a career conclusion. But here he is now again. He's played the 2 games after the All-Star break. Was the guy leading into the All-Star break with 3 wins. Looked really good. As long as he's serviceable to me, that's all I'm really requiring right now. I don't want him to go down that dark road that he went down in the fall. If he can play the way he's played the last 2 games, and then you can off-spell what he does with Joseph Woll's return and/or Martin Jones coming up from the minors, that's fine with me. But I think you'd rather see a Jones-Woll tandem, would you not?
Well, and I'm just looking up his stats right now. Samsonov, since January 21st, which is around the time that he was recalled and started playing, he's 4-1, and his goals against is under 2, and his save percentage is .926. That's pretty good. So, what I'm looking at is the last couple games. I didn't think he was particularly strong against the Islanders. I thought that the breakaways, I mean, he got undressed, but it's a breakaway. It's tough. But I didn't think he was good on the first goal, and I definitely don't think he was good on the Engvall game-winning goal. He kicked the rebound right out to Engvall, and he cashed it in with a minute and a half left, or 2 minutes left to go in the third period. Last night, again, not good on the penalty shot, not particularly good on the second goal. First, the Wyatt Johnson goal hit his glove. I mean, he gave up 4 goals on 31 shots. Dallas is a tough team. But I'm just saying right now he's not stealing games, but he's not costing them games. Mm-hmm. And that's, if they get this kind of goaltending with those kind of stats, then of course they're going to keep feeding him starts. I mean, personally, I would start Martin Jones against Ottawa. I don't want to keep going to Samsonov. If they think this is feeding into his confidence, then okay. But once Joseph Woll is healthy, I want them to play Woll as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And I know that it was brought up last night on the Sportsnet on the broadcast about a 3 goalie rotation. I'm not sure about Martin Jones clearing waivers, because I know he was called up on emergency recall,
right,
for Samsonov, but then Samsonov came back and he's the one, but Jones was recalled for Woll. So I don't know whether he would have to clear waivers because it was emergency recall, but if he did have to clear waivers, I know that the panel last night was saying they think that Jones would get claimed. I know Samsonov wouldn't get claimed, but if he's playing this well, then you probably, so maybe you go with 3, but then you're going to have to send down somebody right now, and that would Pontus Holmberg, who's playing well. I mean, send down William Lagesson. I mean, who are you going to send down? I mean, Lagesson hasn't played.
Right.
So,
but at the core of it, Mike, you need a full complement of skaters more than you need 3 goaltenders on the
right. And the question is, you can't operate under the fear of somebody getting claimed when it comes to the 3 goaltenders. You have to have 2, and the guy that you're going to go with in the playoffs is the guy that you should be playing down the stretch. Now, to me, that's Woll.
When is he back?
Well, he's skating now, but
right. That's a big deal because he's skating, he's coming, he's not back. He hasn't found a rhythm. He hasn't gotten into a groove. The team doesn't necessarily feel comfortable around him right now because he's not back. So this idea that Woll is going to be the guy is great and all, but it's just an idea right now, Mike. Just an idea.
Well, it's based on how he played before he got injured, okay, and the fact that at that point it appeared that he was the man, that they had gone with him like 5 or 6 straight starts, and he was playing really well, and he had stolen them some games, and Samsonov wasn't playing well. So in the absence of anybody else, they were going to him, and he has the best statistics of the 3 goaltenders, and they've all played around the same amount of games. But He's coming off an injury, and you might want to sort of baby him, so to speak, and ease him in, and that might be what would keep you with 3 goaltenders at a certain point. But at a certain point, you have to go with one, and if he's activated, then he's ready, and you have to play him. So if it's me and I'm not Sheldon Keefe and I don't pretend to play him, I would, the goalie I'm going with in game 1 is Joseph Woll, because I don't think Ilya Samsonov is on your roster on July 1st. Now, maybe he gives you the best chance. Right. And hey, hell, who the hell? It might be Matt Murray. Matt Murray could come back and he'd be the goal. And now you have 4 goalies. But I'm just saying, like, to me, the guy who's been the steadiest, even though Martin Jones did save their season in a sense when everybody was hurt and played all those games in a row, the guy who I would go with is the guy who's definitely going to be one of your 2 goalies next year, and that's Joseph Woll.
Well, let's confront this, though, Mike. Joseph Woll's not this team's savior.
No, he's not a savior, but I think he's the best option that they have. And I do think, he's the right physical type in terms of a big goalie. He is something. The only question about Woll, I don't think anybody's questioned his ability. It's like the same question that Nick Robertson faced going into this year. It's durability. It's can he stay healthy? Can he play 50 games? If he can, he's their number 1 goaltender. Right.
I mean, his reputation precedes him, and it's not his fault. I mean, we got to give the guy credit for having the gumption and the wherewithal and the intestinal fortitude and the drive to come all the way back from what could have ended his career, right? At some point, these cats say, I'm just done with the rehab. I'm done with the trials and tribulations. This journey to where I want to get to is just longer than I thought it would be. So fuck it. So give him credit for fighting back the way he did before he even got to the NHL. And, I'm sure once he gets between the pipes and finds his game and feels like he belongs, he's going to be great. How long will he last? Well, that's a question. And who will back him up if he needs replacement? Samsonov Jones, really at this point, Mike, I'm going with Samsonov, but I can see why there's some trepidation in the way I believe things should be when it comes to other people's perspectives. And then, even if Joseph Woll is healthy and feels good, you need to have someone else. What if in game 3 of, a series where the Leafs are up 2-0, he gets peppered and blown out? You need somebody to come in there and help steady things so that the momentum doesn't swing, right? I want to get to a couple of comments. This is an afternoon show. If you're watching the replay, we usually do a Sunday Spectacular Sunday morning. Sometimes we do like a Wednesday, Thursday night show based on time and availability. It is Wednesday afternoon, February 8th, 2024. Sean Robertson. Good to see you, boys. First live chat I've made in quite a while. Sean, it's great to have you. Alan Howick had a great comment here. And again, it's counterintuitive. That counterintuitive move would be for the Leafs to sell at the trade deadline, retool, survive the 24-25 cap crunch hell, and then go for it in 25-26. Mike, he's not telling tales out of school here. There is a belief among many fans that no matter what this team does now, it's not going to reach the promised land, and any movement of future prospects to make do in the interim would be detrimental to the team's health long term. So the counterintuitive move, instead of adding, you subtract.
Okay, so let's go counterintuitive here for a second. All right, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unrestricted free agents currently on the roster. Actually, if you add Giordano, but they're not going to trade him. And Lagesson is a UFA too, and he's basically an AHLer. So you've got Jones, Samsonov, Bobby McMahon. They're not going to trade because he's young. Brody, Bertuzzi, and Domi. Bertuzzi has a no move clause, but if Bertuzzi believes that his stock is going down in terms of his value as a free agent going into the summer, he might say, okay, I'm willing to go someplace else, and waives his no move clause as long as it's someplace that I have a chance of showing myself, like go back to Boston or something like that. you could get a second round pick for him probably because he's having a bad year, so that affects his value. But it's up to him whether he wants to go someplace. Max Domi has a limited no trade clause. So I think it's probably 10 teams.
And what do you get for a guy like that?
With Domi, it's probably a third round pick. It's probably a draft pick. But this is the thing. Unlike other teams, the Leafs are looking to recoup draft capital. So they would be probably willing to trade for draft picks.
Right.
TJ Brody, again, modified no trade clause, $5 million salary. You'd probably have to retain salary, probably up to half. Maybe for a team that's a playoff team looking for a guy who can play the left side or the right side, you could get a second round pick. So you could recoup 3 draft picks with those guys. If you trade one of the goaltenders, maybe you get a depth pick like a third or a fourth round pick. So you could recoup 3 or 4 draft picks and probably maybe still make the playoffs by trading those guys. But what changes? They're a long shot against the 3 teams that they likely will play against in the first round right now. If they finish in third place or one of the 2 wild cards, it's either Boston, the Rangers, or Florida. Okay, are they a favorite against any of those 3? No. Does the loss of those 3 players affect their chances? Well, it lowers them, but they're not the favorite going. So following the counterintuitive model, it doesn't really change much other than it gives the Leafs draft capital.
Right. Spike 11, getting rid of Bertuzzi and Brody is addition by subtraction, $10 million wasted. Spike, if the Leafs get into the playoffs and Bertuzzi does this time what he did with Boston last spring and the Leafs go a round or 2, would you say the same thing at that point? I mean, these guys were brought in. They've all been brought in to succeed in the playoffs to help further this team's cause. And, we're down on some guys now. We're hyped on others.
But this is the issue with I mean, I disagree with the people who say, well, Brody is addition by subtraction if you get rid of him. The problem with the Leafs and the problem that has been with the Leafs for a number of years, especially with their defense, is that you're playing guys a spot or 2 too high in the order of things. Brody would be a great second pairing defenseman, but on the Leafs, he has to play top pairing with Morgan Rielly. Morgan Rielly would be a phenomenal number 2 on almost any NHL Stanley Cup contender. But he's a number 1 in Toronto. Why? Because they don't have a number 1 defenseman. They have a bunch of guys who I think are fantastic, would be fantastic bottom pairing guys. McCabe has actually played well. He's not, taking himself, he's not, I think he's done a decent job as a second pairing guy. Simone Benoit, nobody expected him to play as good as he has. And, but how great would Simone Benoit be on the bottom pairing? Again, using Dallas as a comparison. Who's on their bottom pairing? Ryan Suter. And Ryan Suter is basically their version of Giordano, but he's playing better than Giordano. He's a couple years younger. I mean, I look at teams like Dallas and Colorado and the Rangers and Boston, and you look at their defense and you look at the players 1 through 6, and you compare them to Toronto, and it's like night and day.
Wow. Arnav, hey, buddy, we snuck one in on you. The adversity is real. I love it. Should be a fun game on Saturday. This team is being kept honest. This organization, these fans, this is honesty personified, man. There was no beating of chests, shouting from rooftops. There's no egomania. We all our OGs and converts are they know their game. They love this team. They're as frustrated as we are with the, that feeling of deep down optimism that, something magical could happen, but likely won't. Eventually we'll get there kind of thing. So we're conflicted. I think we're all just aware, Mike, we're all just aware that what is taking place right now might make you feel good temporarily, but long-term will let you down. So something has to change. What I believe is required is a dramatic tipping or altering of the complexion of this group at the top. And that group, it involves members of the top four. It might involve more people from the front office and a little bit of pain before there's, real substantive gain. We've mentioned this before, but here we are again, Mike. A couple more comments from you, and then we'll get out of here. Oh, real quick, handshake line respect is here. Cal Morale, with Sean Robertson, Zach is here. I mentioned Arnoff. I just want to give you guys a shout out for joining us. Mark Benjamin, George, I think Tim Noseworthy. So, guys, thanks so much for being here. It's kind of a limited, this show isn't being viewed by many people right now. Hopefully later on in the day and throughout the next couple of days, more people will view the show on youtube.com/Leafs Convo. Ignite the live chat because it's always pretty interesting on OG and Convert's perspective. So wanted to do a roll call there, Mike. I'll let you have the last couple of words and we'll get out of here.
Okay, I'll just answer a couple things in the chat and then we can end.
Yeah, mention who it is so I can bring it up.
Handshake line respect about he's saying the weakest link on the team is Keith. Right. If he gets his act together on how to run this team, then okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, honestly, okay. Now the issue here is at a certain point, players tune coaches out. It's not the fault of the coach. It's not the fault of the players. I
hate that.
But the message gets old. But the thing is, Keefe has not had the success that everybody would want them to have. I think that these teams have been fundamentally flawed over the years. And the problem is that only that team that won last year they added a third line center. They added toughness on the blue line and McCabe and Shen. They added depth on the fourth line. The guys like Achari, and Lafferty. They added depth to that group. And what happened? They won. Now they won a round. They didn't win the Stanley Cup, but you saw. But now the problem is they didn't have the assets to go out and add. They went out in free agency. They added what they could. Bertuzzi has not worked. Domi has not worked. Right. Klingberg got hurt. Reeves is an unmitigated disaster. The best move that Treliving did was add Simone Benoit in August
and sign William Nylander to the lifetime contract. That
was fantastic. He finally showed up yesterday.
I know how to get your goat, man.
Yeah, he finally showed up after scoring 2 goals in about a millennium. The other one was Martin Jones too, ZM93. But the other one was Zach, and he asked about what do I make of the Liljegren situation. This is the thing. I think that Liljegren has developed slower than people thought he would. He's 24 years old. The issue with him now, he's a right shot D, which is a commodity you don't want to get rid of. He's on the second year of a bridge deal. Now it's like, I don't think he's going to cost them a lot to sign for 2 more years. Right. I mean, he's a guy who I'm signing for 2 more years, and you probably pay him about $2 million and you walk him to free agency. And at that point, if he hasn't improved dramatically, then, you got 8 years out of him or 7 years out of him, and it didn't pan out to what you thought it was going to be. But I don't trade him unless you're getting a defenseman as young as he is and retainable as he is. I don't think he's a bad player. I just don't think he's as good as people thought he was going to be. And, frankly, neither is Rasmus Sandin. Rasmus Sandin is doing okay in Washington. But, I mean, that they traded Rasmus Sandin and they got Easton Cowan. And now,
should Liljegren be better now than we thought? Than we figured he would be, Mike? Or, I mean, would people believe he's either a disappointment or still a work in progress? Is that something else we can pin on this inept head coach Sheldon Keefe?
No, I think he was developed slowly. He was given a lot of time in the American Hockey League. They brought him up. He has shown flashes of being good, and then you see mistakes like he made against the Islanders, where he got caught at the end of the penalty kill, and a rookie gets behind him for a for a goal.
LJ, Lagesson over Liljegren all day. Why can't we have both of them? Why can't both of them?
LJ, you're nuts. I mean, Lagesson was a minor league signing. If you look at his record over the years, he is an up and down. He's a 4A player. He is not he played good for 20 games, and they're very, very thankful for that. And he's experienced, but he's not a top 6 defenseman. And Liljegren is. So, I mean, now the difference is Lagesson costs $775,000, and Liljegren may cost you $2 million, and that's a value judgment. And you may say, well, okay. I mean, right now, Simone Benoit and Liljegren are both in the same boat in the sense that they're arbitration-eligible RFAs 1 year or 2 years away from unrestricted free agency, and you have to make the decision of whether you're going to sign them and extend them and pay them more or let them go.
Sorry, Mike, is Liljegren representative of what's wrong with this organization? You put time and effort into players like this, and the results are meh, and then the money you spend is just tied up amongst redundancy. Like, he's just another example of how this organization has not evolved properly. And that's just like the idea of even getting rid of him after you've put this much time and care into him is really, really disappointing, notwithstanding the fact that, he's developed really slowly, and there's more to be desired from this guy, potentially more extracted. But how much more bloody time do these guys have before the team has to start to, readjust it and refocus on another way of doing business? Last word to you, Mr. A, and we'll get out of here.
Okay. The core group of the Maple Leafs, the 5 players who they depend on for major minutes, all of them were top 5 picks in drafts.
Right.
Morgan Riley was a 5th overall pick. Marner, 4th overall. Nylander was 8th, so top 10. But Tavares number 1, Matthews number 1. What that teaches you is, and now the problem with the Leafs and the Leafs organization over the years, they hit on the guys that I could hit on. If you gave me the NHL Central Scouting book, I could sit at the friggin' table and take Austin Matthews.
Gotcha.
It doesn't take a genius.
There's no like daring risk or ingenuity behind these picks. They were obvious.
But I'm not stupid enough to know that you can make a big mistake with those picks if you don't have scouts who will follow these guys. And, so I'm not saying that I could do this, but I'm just saying that, it's really tough to miss on top overall picks or top 5 picks. But the rest of this roster, I mean, there are guys that they drafted 2nd round, Matthew Nice, 2nd round, Nick Robertson, Pontus Holberg was a late pick. Most of the other guys, Liljegren's a 1st rounder. Most of the guys are just players. They're just not big contributors. And the difference between the Leafs and other teams is like the Boston Bruins get David Pastrnak in the 20s in the 2014 draft. Right. Brad Marchand was a 2nd round pick or a 3rd round pick. Patrice Bergeron was a 2nd round pick. You need to hit grand slam home runs with those picks later in the draft. And the Leafs haven't done that. And that the problem is that it's just the core 4 and Riley and not much else. And they need other contributors for this team to be effective.
OG's converts, what say you? I'm going to come up with a poll. YouTube.com/Leafs Convo/community. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. If you're picking up this content, after the live, which most of you do, start from the beginning, engage the live chat, and just enjoy. We really, 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 really do appreciate your participation and your support of the project. More content, more convo, more stuff revolving around the Maple Leafs is to come. As mentioned, 1 month from today will be the NHL trade deadline. Will it be an anemic display of a transaction from the Leafs perspective, or will something crazy happen, something earth-shattering that, may not tip the scales, but tip this team and the way it does business on its head? That all remains to be seen. In the interim, game against Ottawa in the capital city this weekend, and then 3 at home next week, Mike, against teams the Leafs should be able to contend with and get points from. I'm expecting more of the same. What's going on at hockeybuzz.com?
We'll just be analyzing and reporting on the games and whatever rumors are out there, and I'm sure there will be a lot between now and March the 8th.
Can San Francisco beat the Chiefs?
I hope so.
Yeah. Are you like Are you sick of the Chiefs because they're just too damn good, or does the Taylor Swift connection to Travis Kelce piss you off?
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's not the annoying thing about the whole because I mean I don't like her music because it's not my generation, but she's extremely talented, very pretty girl.
Right.
So I don't really care about that. The thing that pissed off a lot of people is like every time Kansas City scored or every time Kelce did, gained a first down,
Right.
up to the press box, and you see Taylor Swift going nuts. So
well, the zenith of marketing now has the zenith of the marketed.
Yeah.
And it's a cacophony of just the Goliaths coming together. The NFL and Taylor Swift, whether inadvertent or planned, like it's as big and as nauseating as it gets.
Yeah. So I mean, that portion of it. I mean, I hate the Kansas City Chiefs because I'm tired of Subway commercials and State Farm commercials.
The new Patriots, Cal Morale.
Yeah, I mean, and Mahomes. Hey, if he wins on Sunday, he still hasn't won. He's 4 Super Bowls behind Tom Brady. So don't give me this crap that he's as good as Tom Brady, because he's not.
Michael Matthew, Brock Purdy, Joe Montana's DNA running through him.
No, he's not. I mean, I am hopeful San Francisco can win this game because I think their defense is better. But if Kansas City's defense shuts down and limits Purdy, then the most valuable player of the game might be Christian McCaffrey. Because the one thing Kansas City can't do is stop the run. So we'll see.
Michael Matthew, how did you skip over Steve Young and Colin Kaepernick? Like, for God's sakes, Joe Montana, who is this guy? Like, for real. Michael Matthew just woke up from his afternoon Caribbean nap, right? Little too much rum in the morning, has a snooze, and then he wakes up on his yacht, and guess who's live? Norman Mike, the Leafs Convo.
He's got the big Bob Marley cigar.
Yeah. What did he say? Yeah, Mikey, live on the hate for the Chiefs. Real quick, Mr. Captain 93, should Leaf fans complain as much about Biebs on TV as people complain about Taylor Swift?
I wouldn't know. I didn't watch any of the All-Star game.
The thing is, I like Justin Bieber. I was about to call him Taylor Bieber. I like Justin Bieber. I mean, again, I don't want to qualify it with I don't listen to his music. I am 47. I mean, it's on the radio. My kids had listened to it. It was everywhere for 15 years. So you know the songs. But he likes his Leafs.
Yeah,
He's smiling. He's enjoying being there. He's a good sport. Like, he's not doing anything illegal or rude. He's not a bad ambassador. He's grown. He's an adult. He loves his Leafs. You love your Leafs. What's the problem?
His fashion sense is up his rectum, but
he makes money off it, and you and I are struggling here.
Right, so. Right. But the one thing I did hope for at the All-Star game was the fact that the head of the celebrity coach of Team McDavid was Will Arnett, who's as big a Leaf fan as Bieber, and I'm hoping he was whispering in Connor's ear, 2026. Blue and white.
Yeah, I know, eh?
2026. Yeah.
It's funny how it's all happened. I went on a bit of a Arrested Development tangent on YouTube just about the making of the show and how it was revised after several years and all of the turbulence going on behind the scenes and stuff. If you haven't watched Arrested Development, the first 3 seasons, I'd put it up against any television, comedy TV ever. Pound for pound, it's among the best. And Will Arnett central to it as Job. And real quick on Connor McDavid, watching him do the skills competition, the fastest skate thing. That guy, man. What a throwback. Like, it's effervescent, Mike. And, we're so wrapped up in the world of the Maple Leafs. But man, oh man, Connor McDavid for any team would look phenomenal. We got to get out of here. Mr. A, enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. OG's converts, it's very slim chance that we're going to be doing a show this coming Sunday because of all the pomp and pageantry of everything else happening. But we'll try to do something this time next week and then get back on our regular Sunday Spectacular schedule in the weeks to come. Like the content, subscribe to the channel at Norman Oakridge Ford if you're looking for a vehicle. HockeyBuzz.com if you're looking for the best. There it is, the best Leafs coverage you can find, courtesy of our man, Mr. Augello. Enjoy your day, guys. Talk to you again soon. The Leafs Convo is out.